Welcome to our deep dive into the history of the Rothschild banking dynasty. We're going to be covering a pivotal period from 1798 to 1848.
Okay.
We'll be using historical records and analyses of the family's rise to prominence.
Mm.
And we'll also be drawing from Niall Ferguson's book, The House of Rothschild Money's Profits, 1798-1848.
This period is particularly interesting because Europe was experiencing significant upheaval, marked by wars and revolutions,
Right.
which strained traditional financial systems.
Of course.
The Rothschilds emerged during this time, and we'll be exploring the reality of their business dealings, their relationships with powerful figures like Napoleon and Metternich, and how they navigated a world on the brink of change. We'll also address the mythology surrounding the family,
Right.
examining claims that they were puppet masters pulling the strings of global events.
It's fascinating how they built their financial empire from such humble beginnings.
Yeah.
Our journey starts in Frankfurt's Judengasse.
Yeah.
Where Mayer Amschel Rothschild, the family patriarch, began his career.
It was a challenging environment for Jewish people. At the time, they faced severe restrictions on their movement professions and even living spaces.
Oh, wow.
Mayer Amschel's success is all the more remarkable given these limitations.
Yeah.
He began as an antique dealer and transitioned into currency trading, eventually forming a crucial relationship with William I, Elector of Hesse-Kassel, one of the wealthiest individuals in Europe.
This relationship with William seems pivotal. It seems like it laid the foundation for their international expansion.
Precisely. Mayer Amschel managed and grew William's fortune during the Napoleonic Wars, a period of great uncertainty.
Right.
This not only earned him the elector's trust, but also provided the capital and connections for the Rothschilds to expand their operations beyond Frankfurt. One of Mayer Amschel's sons, Nathan, moved to Manchester, England, to establish a textile trading business, demonstrating the family's entrepreneurial spirit.
So Mayer Amschel expertly navigated the financial turmoil of the Napoleonic Wars. And while he was building his business in Frankfurt, Nathan was establishing himself in England. It's fascinating to see how this period set the stage for the family's global expansion.
And this expansion was carefully orchestrated. Mayer Amschel instilled a deep sense of family unity in his 5 sons. Each son established branches in different European cities:
Okay.
Frankfurt, London, Paris, Vienna, and Naples. This wasn't simply familial expansion, it was the creation of a powerful financial network spanning the continent.
A network that would allow them to share information and resources, giving them a significant advantage over their competitors.
Exactly. They were pioneers in developing a sophisticated communication system using trusted couriers. These couriers crisscrossed Europe carrying vital market information and instructions,
Wow.
enabling the Rothschilds to stay ahead of market shifts and make informed financial decisions.
This communication system must have been invaluable, especially during times of war and political instability.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Their timely access to information allowed them to assess risks and opportunities quickly. A prime example is their involvement in financing war loans during the Napoleonic Wars.
Okay.
Nathan Rothschild, based in London, played a key role in supporting Wellington's campaigns.
Right.
This not only brought them significant profits, but also positioned them as indispensable players in European politics.
This leads us to the Rothschild myth, the idea that they were puppet masters controlling governments and manipulating events from behind the scenes.
Right.
The rumor that Nathan profited from Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo by receiving early news is often cited as evidence.
While their communication network was impressive, attributing their success solely to insider information is an oversimplification. Their wealth and influence stemmed from a combination of factors: strategic planning, financial acumen, calculated risk-taking, and a deep understanding of political dynamics. They certainly benefited from their access to information, but they also made shrewd investments and were adept at managing risk.
Yeah.
Their involvement in financing the restoration of European monarchies after Napoleon's downfall illustrates their pragmatic approach.
It seems their actions were often driven by a desire to maintain stability, which would in turn protect their investments and business interests.
Yes.
They weren't necessarily ideologically aligned with the monarchies,
Right.
but saw their restoration as crucial for the economic stability of Europe.
Precisely. They understood that political stability was essential for economic prosperity, and their actions often reflected this understanding.
And their success wasn't limited to the financial realm.
Right.
They also sought to overcome the social barriers faced by Jewish people in 19th century Europe. They acquired noble titles, built lavish homes, hosted extravagant parties, and became patrons of the arts.
Their efforts to integrate into high society were both strategic and symbolic. They understood that social acceptance would enhance their business dealings and elevate their status within European society.
Yeah.
A particularly revealing anecdote involves Nathan Rothschild's opulent ball, where he subtly mocked the elaborate attire of the Habsburg Empire's diplomats.
Oh, wow.
This incident highlights the tension between their desire for acceptance and their awareness of the prejudices they face.
So they were acutely aware of the social dynamics at play and used their wealth and influence to navigate them. Their assimilation into high society wasn't simply about personal ambition, but also about securing their place within the European power structure. It's a fascinating interplay of social and financial maneuvering.
Indeed. And this interplay becomes even more intriguing as we delve into their involvement in emerging industries such as railway financing and the challenges they faced as their influence grew. The 1830s marked a turning point as the Rothschilds ventured into railway financing, a new and potentially lucrative industry.
This seems like a departure from their traditional areas of expertise. What prompted their interest in railways?
They recognized the transformative potential of this emerging technology. Railways promised to revolutionize transportation, connect markets, and stimulate economic growth. They saw an opportunity to leverage their capital and expertise to shape this burgeoning industry.
And their initial investments proved successful, didn't they? Particularly in Belgium and France.
Yes, they secured government concessions and attracted British capital, demonstrating their financial acumen and ability to navigate complex regulatory environments. Their success, however, was soon met with growing criticism. They were accused of monopolizing railway development, exploiting state resources, and enriching themselves at the expense of the public good.
Their involvement in the Nord railway concession in France became particularly controversial.
Indeed, critics argue that they used their political influence to secure favorable terms, highlighting concerns about corruption and the potential for powerful financial interests to undermine fair competition.
Their foray into railway financing wasn't without its setbacks either.
Right.
The Belgian financial crisis of 1838 and the increasing political instability across Europe highlighted the inherent risks associated with this new industry.
These events exposed the limits of even the Rothschilds' financial power. They demonstrated that even the most astute investors are vulnerable to market volatility and political upheaval. Their experience with railways also revealed growing internal disagreements within the family regarding investment strategies.
The five branches, once united under Mayor Amschel's vision, began to exhibit diverging interests and approaches.
As the second generation took the reins, the family's dynamics evolved. The once unwavering unity started to show cracks as individual ambitions and differing risk appetites led to internal conflicts. These internal tensions would become more pronounced as the Rothschilds navigated the turbulent years leading up to the revolutions of 1848.
The revolutions of 1848 must have posed a significant challenge to their business interests. How did they weather this period of political and economic upheaval?
The revolutions of 1848 sent shockwaves across Europe, threatening the stability that had underpinned the Rothschilds' success for decades. The revolutions brought not only political change, but also widespread financial panic and a very real threat to property rights. This was a deeply unsettling development for a family whose wealth was built on investments and financial assets.
The Vienna branch, led by Salomon Rothschild, was particularly vulnerable.
Salomon had made substantial investments in Austrian government bonds known as metallics. These bonds plummeted in value as the revolution unfolded, exposing the Vienna branch to significant losses.
Wow.
His earlier decision to rescue the struggling Vienna bank, Arnstein and Aeschylus, further compounded their problems. This act, intended to stabilize the Viennese financial market, backfired as the revolution intensified, leaving the Rothschilds exposed to even greater losses.
So Salomon's attempt to stabilize the market ultimately increased the Vienna branch's vulnerability.
Precisely. It was a miscalculation that threatened the stability of the entire Rothschild network. The Frankfurt branch, heavily reliant on the Vienna branch's financial strength, faced its own set of challenges as Salomon's debts to his brothers mounted.
The revolutions weren't confined to Vienna. The Paris branch, led by James Rothschild, also faced difficulties.
Joyce found himself grappling with a wave of financial panic in Paris. The French government, facing its own revolutionary challenges, was in no position to support the Rothschilds as it had in the past. James had to navigate a rapidly deteriorating situation with the value of his investments plummeting and his cash reserves dwindling. He likened the experience to a shipwreck, a vivid image that captures the sense of chaos and uncertainty that gripped the financial world.
Despite these immense challenges, the Rothschilds demonstrated remarkable resilience. How did they manage to survive this turbulent period?
They leveraged their extensive network, drawing on support from their branches across Europe. They secured emergency loans, restructured their debts, and strategically liquidated assets to meet their obligations and avoid complete financial ruin. The Vienna branch, with support from the other Rothschild houses, managed to stave off collapse. Salomon, though shaken by the experience, emerged from the crisis with his reputation intact.
And James Rothschild in Paris? How did he fare?
Despite immense pressure, James successfully navigated the turbulent financial waters. He secured critical loans, negotiated favorable terms with the French government, and ultimately stabilized the Paris branch's position. The revolutions of 1848, while posing a severe threat to their business interests,
Right.
also presented them with opportunities. As governments across Europe sought to restore order and rebuild their economies, they turned to the Rothschilds for financial assistance.
So they were able to capitalize on the post-revolutionary reconstruction efforts.
Yes, they provided loans, facilitated diplomatic negotiations, and leveraged their network to support these rebuilding efforts. Their involvement in the post-revolutionary period was both profitable and politically astute. It allowed them to rebuild their own fortunes while positioning themselves as key players in the new European order.
Their role in Italian unification is a prime example of their growing international reach and political influence.
They saw the potential for a unified Italy, both politically and economically,
Right.
and leveraged their financial resources to support this movement. They provided loans to the Piedmontese government, facilitated diplomatic negotiations, and used their network to garner international support for the Italian cause.
Their involvement in Italian unification wasn't purely altruistic, of course.
Of course not. They saw potential for profit in a unified Italy with its expanded markets and increased stability. However, their actions were not without controversy. Critics accused them of meddling in Italian affairs, furthering their own interests at the expense of Italian sovereignty.
This tension between their pursuit of profit and their influence on political events seems to be a recurring theme in their history. Their dealings in the Ottoman Empire provide another example of this dynamic.
They saw the Ottoman Empire as a land of both opportunity and risk. Its vast resources and strategic location held immense potential. But its internal instability and vulnerability to European powers presented challenges. Their initial forays into the Ottoman Empire focused on financing infrastructure projects, such as the construction of railroads and telegraph lines.
These investments were likely seen as both profitable and strategically important.
Precisely. They allowed the Rothschilds to gain a foothold in a region of growing geopolitical significance. However, their involvement in the Ottoman Empire soon went beyond simple economic ventures.
Right.
They became entangled in the complex web of Ottoman politics, often finding themselves caught between competing factions and external powers.
Their attempts to mediate between the Ottoman government and rebellious provinces, such as Egypt, must have been particularly challenging.
Indeed, they had to strike a delicate balance between pursuing their financial interests and navigating political sensitivities. Their dealings in the Ottoman Empire, like many aspects of their history, were met with mixed reactions. Some accused them of exploiting the empire's weaknesses for their own gain, while others saw their involvement as a stabilizing force, providing much-needed capital and expertise.
As the 19th century progressed, the Rothschilds faced new challenges, including increasing competition from new financial institutions and the growing power of industrialists.
The world of finance was becoming more complex and interconnected, challenging the Rothschilds' traditional model of family-based banking joint stock banks with their larger capital base and more diversified ownership structures, began to compete with the Rothschilds in areas like deposit banking, commercial lending, and investment services.
How did the Rothschilds respond to this changing landscape?
They adapted by forming strategic alliances with some of these new banks, leveraging their existing networks and expertise to expand their reach. They also began to experiment with new forms of financial innovation, such as issuing their own banknotes and developing new investment products.
So they recognized the need to evolve and embrace new approaches to maintain their position in the financial world.
Absolutely. Their willingness to adapt and innovate was crucial to their continued success. They also recognized the growing importance of industrial ventures and began to invest heavily in industries like mining, manufacturing, and transportation. For example, they invested in the development of copper mines in Spain and Portugal, anticipating the growing demand for copper in the burgeoning industrial age.
These investments not only generated substantial profits, but also allowed them to diversify their portfolio beyond traditional government bonds and financial instruments.
Exactly. They understood that the future of finance was increasingly tied to the growth of industry and the expansion of global markets. They also began to develop new financial instruments, such as industrial bonds, to attract a wider pool of investors and manage the risks associated with these ventures.
Their story is a testament to their adaptability and their ability to navigate the complexities of a rapidly changing world. But as their wealth and influence grew, so too did the myths and controversies surrounding them.
Their legacy is a complex one marked by both innovation and controversy. They were pioneers in finance, but their actions also raise important questions about the responsibilities that come with immense wealth and power.
And those are questions that continue to resonate today as we grapple with the role of global finance, the influence of powerful individuals and institutions, and the ethical implications of accumulating vast wealth. As we've seen, the Rothschild story is often shrouded in myth and speculation. It's easy to get caught up in the tales of their immense wealth and influence, leading some to believe they were puppet masters controlling world events.
It's important to separate fact from fiction. While their success stemmed from a combination of factors, including their deep understanding of markets' adaptability to new technologies and industries, carefully cultivated network of contacts, and unwavering commitment to family unity. Attributing their achievements solely to manipulation or conspiracy theories overlooks the complexities of their operations and the historical context in which they operated.
The rumor that Nathan Rothschild profited from Napoleon's defeat at Waterloo by receiving advance news of the outcome is a prime example of how these myths take hold. This tale has been widely debunked by historians, yet it persists.
Their courier network, while impressive for its time, was not infallible. Messages were intercepted, delayed, and sometimes misinterpreted. Attributing their success solely to insider information ignores the multitude of factors that influence their decisions. They were opportunistic, but they were also pragmatic. Their actions were often driven by a desire to preserve stability, protect their investments, and maintain their position within the existing power structure.
Their involvement in financing the restoration of European monarchies after Napoleon's downfall is a case in point. This move, seemingly at odds with their image as progressive forces, was a calculated decision to align themselves with the prevailing political winds.
They recognized that a stable Europe was essential for their business interests, and they were willing to work with whomever held power to achieve that stability. Their relationship with figures like Metternich, the Austrian statesman who epitomized conservatism, underscores this point. They cultivated close ties with him, not out of ideological sympathy, but out of a shared interest in maintaining order and protecting property rights.
It's a reminder that the world of finance is often driven by pragmatism rather than ideology.
Precisely. The Rothschilds, like many successful businessmen, were masters of navigating the nuances of power and adapting to shifting political landscapes.
Their story provides a fascinating lens through which to examine the evolution of capitalism, the complexities of wealth and influence in a rapidly changing world, and the enduring tension between financial success and social responsibility. Their legacy continues to fascinate and inspire, offering valuable insights into the dynamics of family businesses, the role of global finance, and the ethical implications of accumulating vast wealth.
The Rothschild story, with all its complexities and contradictions, ultimately poses a fundamental question. How did their immense wealth and influence shape the development of modern finance, and how do their actions resonate with contemporary debates about the role of capital in society?
It's a question worth pondering as we navigate a world where financial institutions wield enormous power, global markets are interconnected in unprecedented ways, and the gap between the wealthy and the rest of society continues to widen. Their story reminds us that history is rarely a simple narrative of heroes and villains, but rather a tapestry woven from ambition, pragmatism, innovation, and the constant pursuit of profit amidst a backdrop of political and social upheaval.
Their legacy, marked by both innovation and controversy, serves as a reminder of the immense power of finance, the importance of adaptability and strategic thinking, and the enduring challenges of balancing wealth, power, and responsibility.
We hope this deep dive into the world of the Rothschilds has provided you with a nuanced understanding of their rise to prominence, the realities of their business dealings, and the myths that have come to surround their legacy. As you continue to explore the fascinating world of finance and its impact on history, we encourage you to consider the enduring lessons of the Rothschild story, both the triumphs and the controversies, and their relevance to the challenges we face today.
Thank you for joining us on this journey into the past. We hope you found it enlightening and thought-provoking.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep learning.